Hello and welcome to the Turnaround Talk Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Marcia Tepperman, and in this show, me and my guests will have fascinating conversations about how to use adversity as a springboard for a thriving life. And in this episode, we'll talk about how to turn setbacks into opportunities for connection and exponential growth. My guest is Divya Parekh. Divya is an award-winning global business, relationship and leadership mentor and coach, international speaker, and 10-time #1 international best-selling author. Divya has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and leaders from various industries to achieve success through coaching, authorship, consulting, authority positioning, media exposure, course building, speaking, and strategic marketing. Wow, welcome Divya, and thank you so much for being on the show today.
Well, good to be here with you, Marcia.
So Divya, I'm really interested in hearing your story. So I would like us to go back to the period between 2010 and 2015, before like the big moment that we're going to talk today, and give us an overview of what was happening over those 5 years.
Absolutely. So what happened in 2008? I'm just going to go back a little bit more further. There was an economic downturn, and my husband is in IT, and there was a huge possibility that he would get laid off. We had a young family, and I was in pharmaceuticals, and of course the rumors were now starting to percolate that there are going to be layoffs because there's such a economic downturn and upheaval. So as things are moving around, and of course the layoffs do come, I was fortunate to have not been laid off, but at the same token, seeing my friends and my family, and I call my family because so many times you're spending your time with your peers, just being walked off at a moment's notice, all of their lives, the desk, everything shrunk into that cardboard box. It just impacted me like nothing I'd experienced before. I've had traumatic moments in my life, but that was just like, okay, these are people, their dreams. We have spent time together. We have done projects. We have built life-changing medications from start to finish to help people. And that was a turning point in my life where I decided I needed to do something else. So as I explored, what were my strengths, doing a SWOT analysis, because when you're in corporate and doing Lean Six Sigma and all those wonderful things, you do tend to apply to your life too. So what I found out that I had this insatiable thirst of learning and helping other people. And that was evident because that was the reason I was part of biopharmaceuticals. And I continued on that journey exploring, and I found that coaching and consulting was my niche, and helping people get that breakthrough, seeing that eyes light up, because there's nothing like, when you're sitting in a coaching session and you see or hear on the phone or whatever it is, you hear that shift, and then there's no turning back. And you know that you've been part of that journey for someone. It is so rewarding. So I went through the International Coach Federation journey and spent almost a couple of years getting my certification in coaching and just kind of deepening my learning. I'm a learner. I'm a lifelong learner. Setting up my business, moving through and creating an exit plan. So I was building my brand while I was still in the corporate world. And slowly I transitioned out into full-time entrepreneurship. And as I transitioned into full-time entrepreneurship, I found that because the intention was to genuinely serve others. And so many times I wouldn't even think about, okay, this should be the pricing and this. That was never in my mind. The first thing that would come is, how can I help this person reach their goals? How can I help them achieve what they want, or how can I help them be happy? How can I help them move to the next level in their lives? How can I help them play full out? And as that happened, my business grew. And I was speaking already as part of biopharmaceutical conferences, sometimes even up to 500 people, large crowds. So, and interestingly, the conference organizers would call me. I would go to the same conferences over a period of like 3 to 4 years. So I already had that speaking experience. And then I transitioned into entrepreneurship, into speaking, started getting paid speaking. And as I fully transitioned into my business, it was just awesome. I was flying high, my business was on the top, and just doing so great. And impacting people, that was the best part.
So
That
you,
I was, yeah, I was
yeah.
able to impact people across 6 continents. Just so rewarding.
So 5 years of really dedicated work to helping people and getting like finally getting through those initial 5 years into that growth stage. And then
Mm-hmm.
what happened?
Humps and breaking down, and you go through bruising your knees and your shoulders and elbows, not really literally, figuratively. So what happened was, right before the summer was going to end, we decided to have a nice family vacation in South Dakota. Mount Rushmore, there are great, it's legendary. The mountains with 4 presidents of US had a great time, and we were in a nice area, beautiful area, all nature. So of course, the place we were in, it was like almost 25, 30 miles away from a major city. But that it was a little town, and they had a beautiful, how should I say, small street with great food and all that. So we had a dinner around like, last day of our vacation, and the dusk had fallen. And as we were walking, we are just kind of laughing and enjoying the walk down. And all of a sudden, it just darkened and thundering, and it started pouring, and we started laughing. Okay, so what? We're drenched. And we got a shower, and we were kind of happy and just kind of walking back. And it was dark because usually, if you want to stay in a nature-like area, they have lights, but it's dimmer. And because it was pouring so hard, we could not even see like 1 foot in front of our eyes. And then something happened. I slipped, boom, I hit the concrete, and I literally saw stars. I kid you not, I saw stars, and I had this searing pain, and oh my God. And my family lifted me up gently, and just hurting. And I'm keeping my arm like this and go inside the hotel, and I cannot think, and talking to the receptionist, like, hey, do you have any painkillers like ibuprofen, something very strong? She's like, oh, we've probably got some. I don't think so we've got anything. And I knew that we had probably some Tylenol or something like that. And we were asking, okay, is there any hospital? She's like, yeah, you should go to the doctor and check it out. And then here I'm thinking, tomorrow morning at 7, we have a flight. And there were a lot of winding roads. And on some of those roads, there were no guardrails. And here I'm thinking that, okay, it's nighttime, it's around 8:39. And now if I'm going to ER, and what if I'm staying overnight and we miss the flight, then we're kind of stuck here. And, it's going to have a cascade of ripple effect, so to speak, a domino effect. And then I just underplayed, telling the mind, okay, there's no pain. Divya, almost reprimanding myself. Like, okay, it's nothing. So we create like a makeshift sling and keeping it there. And I'm like, yeah, I probably have a really bad sprain. And so somehow past the night, just probably I was like, being nonchalant, no, it's nothing. And then we had layovers, so like a total time of 12, I don't know, 10 to 12 hours. Gosh, it's been a long time now. So don't remember exactly, but it was long. And then as I'm walking between 2 terminals, I'm feeling the pain. So these carts are going around, and I tell this guy, listen, I am so much in pain. Can you please take me on that thing? And he's looking and telling me that, usually I take much older people. I said, really, I'm in pain. Can you please help me out here? And he said, okay, hop on. So I hop on, and while I'm waiting for the next flight, I call up my doctor, and they say, I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. And they said, we don't have an appointment tomorrow, but we've got the appointment the day after. So I'm like, I don't want to go to urgent care and sit there for a few more hours. So I said, okay, just give me for appointment on Friday. So I let go for another day. Okay, pain. Come home, take ibuprofen. Just again, somewhere under this illusion, there's nothing wrong. Friday morning, I go to the doctor and I'm just kind of laughing around. Look, I had such a great vacation. And after vacation, I slipped. I fell. And she said, okay, looks like probably you don't have much. But the way you're holding your arm, you're probably sprained it, but let's just get x-ray done to make sure nothing's broken. So we just kind of kidding around, and I've had my doctor for quite a few years. Wonderful, wonderful doctor. Amazing. And she sends me to the x-ray area. They have it right in the clinic. And the x-ray technician takes my arm and tries to place it like that. And I go, I'm not going to scream here on your show, Marsha. But I screamed and I'm like, oh my God, that was me. That's bad. And the girl says, I'm not touching you. You're going for CT scan. I go to CT scan. My doctor is like, okay, something's not right. They took the x-ray somehow, like, some form without touching me. And they were seeing a lot of stuff and they wanted CT scan done to make sure nothing was broken. And she's not telling me anything. I'm like, what is it? She said it's broken. But she calls up the orthopedic surgeon and all the good stuff and get the CT scan done and get the report back. My shoulder is fractured in multiple places, right shoulder. And she's like, what were you thinking? What if, and the crack was such that I could not have surgery. Even though it was broken in multiple places, there's something like I don't know, insurance thing or surgery thing. It has to have a certain inch, or if it is less than certain measurement, they will not do it. And the orthopedic surgeon and my doctor, they're just looking at me as if I'm some alien from another planet. And they're like, how could you have been laughing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm in pain now because it had moved in. So of course, then I went into they said, okay, you can't do much. You just have to be in a slingshot. The whole area is such that we cannot put you either in the cast nor do the surgery. So that's what happened.
Wow. So, but that wasn't all, because that took you quite, you had a setback from that, right? It wasn't like you could go back to work and just leave in pain and do your work. So how did that affect your business in your life?
Well, let me kind of tell you, my husband had been laid off and he went into a contractor's position. So fortunately, that was good for us. And on the other hand, you don't get the insurance from the owner, the employer that you're working from, because you're not a full-time employee. So insurance cost is a whole lot. And everything the way it was, I went into a severe debt. So what happened was, okay, let me just kind of track back here, is the way my arm healed. Usually it was expected to have healed in like 3 months, but it took almost 6.5 months. And while it was there, again, I challenged myself. I'm the challenging queen, what can I say? That I would not take a lot of pain medications, because as I was talking with a couple of doctors, and they said, if you continue taking the pain medications, the chances of getting addicted, the pain was so much that they had to give me opioids, that the chances are high. So if you can, after a certain time, so I decided right on the very first day that I was just going to take during the nighttime and maybe one during the daytime. So it's like, taking a break with ibuprofen and that. And it was not easy because the pain was bad. Like now I realized it's funny. And I'm like, it was hurting before, but now I know that there is fracture. So I'm like saying, oh, so I went through this weird cycle of self-pity and not accepting and falling off my high horse, so to speak, because I always love to give. And I was never I've been in a position where people have helped me out, but not this way, because as I was eating, everything would drool with my left hand. I could not type, right? Like, and our whole business as an entrepreneur is on the computer. I'm using this Dragon software and I'm typing something and it would type something else. I'm trying to teach it. And then I'm like going, I'm like, why will you not listen to me? So it was a complete shattering of my ego. I mean, I don't know if I had a whole lot of ego. I did not. But whatever I had, it just shattered into little pieces. And it was very humbling and eye-opening. So initially, the first few weeks, it was just a mess. I would not accept the situation and that I could not be this super mom and the superwoman that I thought myself to be, that, yeah, I can handle this. I had to learn the hard way that either I accepted it and moved gracefully through it, accepting help. And a lot of my clients wanted to stay with me. I had to cancel a lot of my speaking engagements. These are paid speaking engagements, 4 of them. It had taken me some time to get into that groove. And when you cancel for speaking engagements, people are sympathetic, but they have planned their speakers from months. It doesn't sit well. Then people don't want to invite you back.
Yeah.
Even though your orthopedic surgeon is giving you the letter that we are not allowing her to travel.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was not in a place where I could coach people the right way. So this was my place, my integrity, it again goes back to the core values, that regardless whatever situation you're in, how are you operating? Where are you coming from? How are you showing up? I told them that I'm not in a place where I'll be able to give you my 100%. And they said, your 20% is better than 100% of anybody else. I'm like, you guys are so loyal. I'm so thankful. For now, I will not feel good about taking money from you. And I transferred a lot of my clients to other people. And as I was talking to my coach, who I had during that time, and he said, just give yourself that time to heal without worrying whether but what that did was that it took out all this wonderful business that I had built up. And that said, the reason I went into debt was not only medical expenses, tons of medical expenses. After I was healed, which took multiple months, by the time I was not moving my shoulder, I went into frozen shoulder and took almost a year and a half to get back. So like almost, I would say 2 years of my life.
Wow.
Gone.
Yeah.
And of course, during that time, you're not fully functional. A lot of people stepped in, and I'll say this, Marcia, it was the best time of my life. The people, how they rose to help me, my friends, family, I didn't even realize. And I learned to ask for help. And I didn't even have to ask. I just had to open my heart to let people in. I didn't even have to ask, like, these are such lovely people. And I told them, I see God in you. I see that divinity in you. There's no the proof that God is present. It's the love, God is love, and the love that I got, I cannot tell you. And there were a few clients, who stayed with me and which helped me keep my business afloat. But during that time, I was like, okay, where is that pivoting going to happen? How am I going to move my business in such a way that the business revolves around my lifestyle, not that my lifestyle revolves around the business? So it taught me so much, which I've been able to pass on to my clients. And I cannot tell you that how grateful I am for that experience.
Wow. I also had frozen shoulder, so I know exactly what you mean. It was the most painful thing I ever experienced in my life. Like no sleep for, I don't know, 6 months, zero sleep, because every single move you make in bed is painful. And one of the things I was going to say is that how sometimes people don't appreciate what those moments and those setbacks and even other things like, for example, workplace grievances or just financial hardship and all of that, how that brings us below the line, but also physically, it's so difficult to shake it off and to move past and recognize that even if you are a resilient person, even if you have given your best in the past, it's like physiologically you can't beat it. It's not something that you can just snap out of it, right? But you had a turning point today. You managed to turn this around. So tell us a little bit more about how you turned this around.
Absolutely. So what happened was my first 4 to 6 weeks, I was just not accepting it, that, oh, why did this happen? Here I am at the top of my career. My business is going high 6 figures, over 6 figures. And just kind of that year, next year, it was just slated to move. And here I've got this high goals and thinking, yeah, I'm just on the top of the world and not ready to accept it. And then what happened was, as I was talking to somebody, I let the mindfulness in. And I was listening to myself. And I'm like, seriously, Divya? This is what you have come to? And I was very hard on myself. So that's what was happening. Here was one side, that I was being so hard on myself that why wasn't I able to handle the situation more bravely? I was not allowing myself room to be vulnerable. And I decided, let me meditate. And I could not meditate with the pain, because there was this song, boom, boom, kaboom, boom, boom, boom. All different types of songs, and the pain's going on in my shoulder. Every day was something different. And I'm like, wow, that's a melody. Why don't I appreciate it? And in that, whichever way I could meditate, it was almost like this opening and blooming of a flower, that it was okay. I could allow myself to be vulnerable. It was okay that if I could not get off that armchair, like the leaning chair that you have. I mean, I flew first class, and when I started seeing the humor and the joy in that situation, it was just sitting down with myself, having that contemplation and introspection. And I realized it was okay to be vulnerable. It was okay for me to ask for help. It was okay to drool. It was okay not to be able to get out of the chair. It was okay to not be even able to open the door without shaking or moving, like, okay, I can move. What if I dislodge something? And when I let go of that resistance, it's not only releasing, but it's about letting go. Life became so beautiful. I started seeing these people, and I would wonder, and I would say, thank you. And they would say, Divya, all that is happening here is you invested in us. It's, let us just invest back in you. This is friendship, this is love. And it was just love all around me. And like, I've been running through life. Yes, I'm mindful. Yes, I'm meditated. But looking at life with that perspective and through that lens, and what I saw in people, oh my Lord, it was just phenomenal. That every one of us has that empathy. Every one of us has that inner potential in us that just rises to the situation. And then, as the months started going by, I learned with my phone to speak into the phone. I started using swiping and zoom, 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 and I would be able to send messages. I would be able to speak and write emails. So I learned to adjust and adapt. And I still kept my coach on. So that's one thing, I did not let it go. And as I was being coached, I started writing more books. And as I started writing more books during one of our coaching sessions, my coach told me, okay, how, you're in pain. How are you able to spit out like a couple of books within the span of these few months? I said, I don't know. And he asked me, okay, can you walk me through how you're writing those? And I said, okay, for this is how I did it. For this topic, this is how I did it. And he said, it's amazing how unique it is to different topics. And yet there is a method to how you're doing it. And I was being asked by people, oh, Divya, you're writing books. How did you write it? And I had studied with masters like, oh goodness, like Brian Tracy and so many people, because I'm a person who just kind of gets into the nitty gritty. And as I was writing, I was building my team. And then lo and behold, this whole thing emerged where the positioning came into play, that it's not only positioning yourself as an influencer on social media. No, how do you position yourself in your mind? How do you create that unstoppable mindset? How do you see yourself? How do you play full out even when things are down? So being vulnerable is playing full out, because you're allowing yourself to be you. You're allowing yourself to be passionate and be empathetic and compassionate towards yourself. And as that started happening, as they say, divine steps in. I had a complete pivoting of my business. And since then, because I went through it and I saw my emotional growth through book writing, since then, my team and I have taken 126 authors and counting, helping people give voice to their message, to that story, because here it is, right? Like it sits right in there and you're scared. It's a piece of your soul that you want to put out. And then it's like, okay, once the book is gone, it's out for inspection by anybody. And anybody can take my work and just rip it off and reject me and all that failure. So having that fear and walking through it and burning it, it allowed me to see how I grew tremendously. And it allowed me to help other people to grow through it. And it breaks the barrier. There's something about writing a book. It's not just the blog writing. There's something about book writing that breaks your barriers down, that gives you the breakthrough and provides you the emotional growth. And lo and behold, like I researched, because I come from a science and neuroscience background, studies have shown that writing provides you with emotional growth.
Yes,
So that's the turning point.
Yeah, journaling, writing books are very cathartic processes, right?
Uh-huh.
And so these days you are a massive influencer and you write for Forbes. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown on all the places where you contribute? And
Sure. So recently, my podcast was recognized by Player FM as one of the top women-led radio podcasts. And I don't go for subscriptions, like reaching out to people that, hey, subscribe or leave me 5 stars. So you may not see 5 stars on my podcast. And at the same token, I'm invited to different conferences as a media influencer. I had by invitation, a great opportunity to be on the same platform on a virtual summit with Jack Canfield and some big names. And I've been so blessed to have worked with top industry leaders and, writing for Forbes and Thrive Global, WOMEL, International Coaching News. I write for Grid Daily, multiple outlets. And what that does is that it helps you to connect with people. And I've just been fortunate that things have grown organically for me. I'm never reaching out to people. People reach out to me that, hey, Divya, we saw you here. We'd love to have you. And it's organic growth. And as a result, I've been invited to conferences where I'm considered to be a media influencer. And the first time I went to the national summit, it's a national publicity summit, and I'm sitting in the room. They have a green screen room and they treat you so beautifully. I'm like, you guys are treating me too nicely. They're like, no, just go. And I'm sitting in the room with, there's a Dr. Azza Show producer. There is somebody from New York Times. There is somebody from ABC, like Good Morning America producer. I'm like, whoa, I'm the new kid on the block. So here's the thing is that allowing your passion to play full out, things happen organically. And the key is, it's not just doing anything, it's going about it the strategic way. It's about thinking how you're building your platform. And one thing I'll share, folks, at the heart of it, gotta have a servant heart, gotta have that intention to give back, to serve people. And I want to share that just recently from my book, we helped another entrepreneur who's been impacted by COVID-19. So as my books, most of the profits go to kiva.org. And it's so rewarding that, my book, and another great thing happened. My book was at $4.99. I raised the pricing so that, if I get more profits, I'm able to give it more back to these entrepreneurs who have been impacted by COVID-19, because in US and throughout the world, businesses have been shutting down. It just makes me ache for them. And I go on my book's website on Amazon, and the price has been slashed down to 99 cents. I call up Amazon and thinking like, because it's 99 cents, don't get much. And the customer service told me that it's good. Amazon thinks your book is good. So when they slash it down, that means they're paying attention to it. I'm like, whoa, I'm happy about that. If Amazon is paying attention to my book versus me trying to go about it. And I'm very happy to share that my book has been a bestseller since last September. It was a #1 international bestseller, and throughout till now, it's been a bestseller in top 100 to this date. Almost I don't know how many months are left now. July, August, September, almost 9.5 months.
Is this the book you wrote after your shoulder injury?
No, this book is something that I wrote recently.
Okay.
It's this book, but it talks about how
from expert to influencer. Yes.
It talks about, and the subtitle is how to position yourself for meaningful impact. And it shows that, you don't have to be a social media influencer with hundreds and thousands of following. You can be where you are at this moment. And I can tell you that inner genius, that potential in you, it's time to tap it and help somebody else out. Don't tap it for yourself. Go help somebody. And here's one example I can give you. You could just be walking down the street and, people are craving for human connection. Just wave, even if you're wearing a mask. Or like I shared, find the causes. So for example, profits from my book are going to help the entrepreneurs, both home and abroad, who are impacted by COVID-19. So you're investing in a cause where it's giving you value. And at the same time, you're part of something big that it's going and helping. So it's very easy to find ways where you can influence other people, where you can amplify the impact. So that's what the book is all about. And of course, there are very practical business tips and strategies to position yourself so that you can impact others, folks. Because when you do that, there is increase in inspiration, there is increase in your income, and impact first, impact last.
Yes. And I don't know if you're going to resonate to that, but I noticed that a lot of women, when they get to a stage in their career, they feel like they want to bring more of themselves into what they do, but the corporate world really will take them so far because there's an expectation that they're going to fit in a box, right? If they are working for corporations in a way. And so that spirit, that essence you have, that you are wanting to sort of bring to your work and to be that influencer, sometimes you need to sort of take that leap of faith and do something outside that space and start to bring that forth. So for example, you did that over a period of maybe 2 years before you went all into your business, but you looked at a corporate job as not something so stable, not necessarily stable. So you saw how your friends and family were impacted by, people being laid off because of financial crisis. And then you took everything you had plus your I guess your soul into what you do, and then you managed to bring tremendous success, and twice you did that, even with a setback. So what are the takeaways? What are the 2-3 takeaways from that you want to tell anyone who is sort of not really sure if they should venture into something of their own, that they know that they have it in them, that they want to share, they want to be a contribution to the world, or someone who had been affected by divorce or being laid off from their job, or have been a mom for some time and not in the corporate world, but wanting to make a comeback, what are the things that you would say, like what kind of mindset tips do you have to help people sort of step into that place where they can contribute, where they can be this influencer and bring the results that they want?
So I'll share a few of the learnings. One thing, when I was taking a coaching class, it was probably my second or third in my certification program, which was approximately, I think, it's around, I don't know, like a pretty long program, 1.5 years, 2 years, where you kind of practiced the coaching and all that. One of my instructors said, that has stuck with me for the rest of my life. She said that no matter what, you're always going to be learning and you're always going to need support. And that just said with me is that no matter how good of a driver we become, we still have to look over our blind spots. We have blind spots. So the key is having a guide, a coach, somebody by your side who has traveled the road before. You can do it on your own. Absolutely. There's nothing. But here's the thing. If you do that, if you decide to do everything on your own, then you're going to fail. Expect failure. That said, you are going to go through so many trials and errors that it's not worth it. Have a guide by your side. Don't have a rock star on the stage with you. You are the rock star on the stage. Have a guide by your side. Always remember, that's one of the things to look in your coach. And I want to share a story. So I had a fortune to meet Brian Tracy in person, and I'm very fortunate to have his endorsement on one of my books. So it was probably in one of my new, when I was fairly new in my business coaching. I went to LA for a business conference because I believe in continuous learning and improvement. Sitting down, and there were all these massive, giant coaches who had been in the business, and they were talking about, oh yeah, last year I made $500,000, and oh, I've had this. And so for a newbie and a rookie like me, wow, they're doing good. And as we're getting into conversation, they let me in. It's almost like a cool girls club. And I started feeling good. Okay, they're letting me in their circle. It's that invisible acceptance that nobody says it, that, oh yeah, you are in. You can feel it, the way people talk to you and let you in the circle. I'm thrilled. And as we are talking, and I shared, oh yeah, I'm super proud that I've got 2 coaches. They look at me. It's almost like pin drop silence on that table. And then the conversation picked up again, and an invisible wall was created. Okay, she doesn't know what she's doing. She's not to be in our circles. The lights dim, Brian Tracy comes on the stage and he's talking. He's been one of my idols forever and so dynamic, so influential, magical. He's talking, and then at the end of his conversation, and as he was finishing it up, he said he had 7 coaches. And oh my God, people on the table would not look at me. So Brian Tracy, at the top of his game, has 7 coaches. And then, of course, the barriers broke because I did not have any judgment for them. I was, okay, that's how they think. It's okay. You meet people where they're at. So that's one of the things I'm going to highly recommend is have a guide by your side. Not a rock star on the stage with you, have a guide by your side. And now it does not have to be like somebody who is with you constantly, but somebody who's guiding you, somebody who is really vested in you, who is happy at your little successes, who is more happier for you than you are. That's one of the learnings I really experienced. The second is it's okay to be vulnerable. Yes, I'm not saying that go air all your dirty laundry to everybody on the social media. Be discreet about it. And you can be vulnerable to your friends and family who you trust, because you want to make sure, because people will take advantage of it. It has happened to me because sometimes I'm a very open person, and then I've learned to my peril to not be that open that people will go and take advantage. So it's about finding that balance, being vulnerable and asking for help. And you'll be surprised how many people can help you out. So that's my second takeaway. And the third takeaway is that nothing is over till you're alive. Nothing is over. Never say never. You can come back anytime, folks. Whenever you're ready, that's where the beginning starts. Doesn't matter whether you're 80 years old, whether you're young, because I'll tell you, one of my authors has been a 16-year-old and one of my authors has been an 80-year-old. So if they can do it, you can do it.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Sorry. That is so true. Yes. And a lot of the times people have a lot of self-imposed like limitations, and they talk themselves out of things. So instead of talking themselves into things, right? So it's just a shift in how you talk to yourself sometimes can really help. Thank you, Divya. That was a really good conversation. Well,
thank you, Marsha. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you sharing all your wisdom and your experience, and tell us how people can get in touch with you and what specifically you can do for them.
So I'd be happy to share a gift with your clients, with your audience, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
And I can share the link with you, if that's all right, later on. It's at success.divyaparekh/your brand story, because it's how you show up. It's how you are perceived by others. It's how you're building that story. You got it. You have your life experiences, folks. You don't have to go and create something, any fancy stuff. You got it. You have it already. It's how you position yourself. That's where the secret of the sauce is. So that's, I would highly invite people to download it.
We'll have the link just below this at this point, and we are going to have the link, so don't worry. Yes.
And people can reach out to me through my website, which is www.entrepreneur.divyaparekh.com. And you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Divya Parekh. On Twitter, it's Coach Divya. On Instagram, it is Make Your Message Your Movement. And Facebook, it's just me. And reach out and connect, and I'm here to serve and support you.
Fantastic, Divya. Thank you so much for being with me today, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.
I'm very grateful to be here with you. Thank you.
The Turnaround Talk Show and Podcast is brought to you by Marcia Tepperman. You can find me on my website, www.marciatepperman.com.au, or you can connect with me on social media via Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to being with you again soon.